Welcome back to our 3-part tutorial on color grading with VideoStudio. In this second part, we'll be looking at the tone curve. Tone curve is only included with VideoStudio Ultimate. We've got the same clips on our timeline as in part 1, and to get to color grading, we simply double-click a clip and select color. And this time, we'll dive into the tone curve settings. Tone curve controls the shadows, midtones, and highlights separately from each other, and for different colors as well. So, with white selected here, we'll be affecting all colors equally, as white is made up of all colors. The tone curve is divided into squares which represent different regions of our clip. The bottom left square is the shadows. In this clip, that's the foreground. It's the darkest parts of your clip. And then the next 2 squares are the midtones, which would be the parts in between the darkest and lightest, which in this clip would be these misty mountains. And then highlights is the top right square, which controls the brightest parts of your clip, which in this clip is clearly the sunset. We can adjust each of these parts separately via this diagonal line, which is flat by default. And if we click and drag towards the top left, we're making things brighter. And if we drag towards the bottom right, we're making things darker. The tone curve comes into its own when we add more than one point though. So let's reset the midtones to neutral. And say we want the shadows to be a bit brighter, we can drag it here. And you can see the foreground is getting brighter. Or if we drag it the other way, we can put the hill the subject is standing on into more of a silhouette. And you'll notice as we're doing this that we're not affecting the brightness of the sun in the background, because we haven't altered the top right square, which controls the highlights. Now let's play with the midtones. If we drag towards the bottom right, we can see the misty hills get darker. And if we pull to the left, they get a lot brighter. But you can see the tone curve is now definitely affecting the brightest part of the clip, the sun. So let's add another point here to bring the highlights back to normal again, and then get a little less extreme with the midtones. So let's delete the point we added between the midtones and the highlights by right-clicking, and then bring out the highlights some more and really make this sunset dramatic. Wow, if we go that far, it basically looks like the sun has exploded, so let's tame it back a bit. We can also make simultaneous tone curves for each color of red, green, and blue as well. Let's make the highlights a little more red, as sunsets generally are red. But pull out the red from the shadows. Then maybe add a bit of green into the shadows to really emphasize the difference between the grass and trees and the red sunset in the background. Wow, looks epic. Let's reset to see where we started. So you can see, this is where color correction can become really extreme if that's what you want to go for. Or you can use much subtler corrections to just make your footage pop a bit. It's an art that you'll love getting used to. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll look at using HSL tuning to control the color in your clips even further.